Did you see this? An NFL analyst picked the New Orleans Saints to beat Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, and all of the Taylor Swift fans in Super Bowl 58. I'm going to tell you who said it, what exactly they said, and I'm going to give my thoughts and explain why or why not I think the Saints can or won't make the Super Bowl. But before we get to that, producer Seeps, our Vikings fan, he just had a few quick words he wanted to share with you.
What's going on, Saints fans? I run our Vikings channel here at Chat Sports, and me and Trace, we decided to do a sub battle this week, and I was looking at the numbers, and we are kicking your guys' ass. And all I know is, Saints fans, you guys aren't going to win this battle. You guys aren't going to go subscribe, support your own team, because you guys ultimately know Vikings are the better football team. I guarantee you guys won't beat us in subs this week.
All right, so producer Seeps, I love the guy to death. He's a criminal justice major from Xavier. And the only crime he's ever committed was rooting for the Vikings. So help me out, Saints fans. Let's kick their teeth in on the sub battle. Let's kick their teeth in on the field. Lock us in. Subscribe today. And without further ado, let's talk Super Bowl 58.
Saints fans, you guys are the biggest frauds I have ever met in my entire life. The biggest frauds I have ever met in my entire life. F the Saints.
Can you believe this guy? He just berated the studio mid-filming. Unbelievable. But here's whatever. Welcome to Saints Now by Chat Sports. That was 100% not in the script. I'm just going to say that. Love me, producer Seatmans. F the Vikings, and the Saints are catching a dub. And I'm going to go ahead and make 25 times my money this weekend, because shout out to Prize Picks for supporting today's show. Let's get into the news. Let's get into the topics of today's show. But we got to give a shout out to Prize Picks. It's the most fun I've had playing daily fantasy sports this season. You just select 2 or more players, you pick more or less based on their stats, and you place your entry. And if you like Meek Mill, if you like Andrew Schultz, these are guys that you can go ahead and play against in daily fantasy sports on Prize Picks. And here's just a handful of reasons why I love Prize Picks. It's daily fantasy sports made easy, just like I said. It's the largest DFS app in North America. They're not number 2. They're number 1, just like the Saints in the NFC South rankings. They have a daily specials and discounts. They offer all of that stuff all throughout the week and right before game time, so be sure to check those out. And you can get up to an $100 deposit match if you use code CLNS at prizepicks.com/CLNS. You can combine NBA and NFL picks. You don't just have to pick one sport. You don't just have to pick one team. You don't just have to pick one position. You can pick anything. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use promo code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made easy. You can find the links and the information in the comment section and description of this video. All right, with no more messing around, let's talk Saints Super Bowl, because I think that what a certain NFL analyst had to say is very, very interesting. So let's go ahead and take a look at what he said. David Carr, the brother of your quarterback, Derek Carr. Yeah, no, it's not as interesting as you thought it would be. But here we go. Hear me out. I'm going to get into my stuff here in just a second. But here's what David Carr had to say. The Saints continue to build throughout the second half of the season and in January to peak when it counts. I envision my brother, Derek, firing on all cylinders in a venue he's very familiar with to outplay Patrick Mahomes, an opponent he's very familiar with, and overwhelm Steve Spagnuolo's defense. And so here are the midseason predictions from all of the NFL analysts that got to share their opinions on their Super Bowl projections. Eagles and Niners, clear favorites. Then you got 2 votes in the AFC side, the Bengals and the Chiefs. You got 3 votes for the Ravens, who, I'm not going to lie, I think the Ravens are my AFC team that I would pick. And the Miami Dolphins, 2 votes. But the Buffalo Bills and the New Orleans Saints each receiving 1 vote, and the Saints vote coming in from David Carr. So let's talk about whether or not I think that the New Orleans Saints can make Super Bowl 58. We heard enough from David. We're not here to talk about David. We're here to talk about this stuff right here. So the Saints, if you ask me, they have one of the easiest remaining schedules, and we're going to go through the remaining schedule here in a moment, and they're currently number 1 in the NFC South rankings. The odds for the Saints to win are currently plus 5,000. And I found this picture very interesting. I tweeted this out, so if you guys want to go check it out, see some more thoughts on this, Trace Girouard 48 on X, formerly known as Twitter. But look at the numbers here. Look at this picture right here. So on the right side, you see the Saints, and there's that little line right here. So the left dot, that's if they lose. Their playoff chances are going to drop. But if they win against the Vikings, their playoff chances bump up to just about 90%. However, the Vikings this week I find very interesting. If they lose, they are down to about a 40% chance to make the playoffs. However, with a win, Justin Jefferson can come back and lead this team to a win with Josh Dobbs, the Pastronaut. They will be at about 74-75% if they beat the Saints. Now, I truly do believe New Orleans can make some noise, but it all starts this week against Minnesota. You got to go and win this one because when you look at the remaining schedule outside of just this week, there are some very easy games, some very winnable games, but I want to take no chances. Week 10, you go travel to Minneapolis and take on the Vikings. And week 11, you have your bye. That's going to be much needed heading into week 12 at the Atlanta Falcons, which I will say this. The Falcons also have a bye in week 11, so I think that could be just a grudge match. It's always ugly. It's always dukes are up, and it's going to be a fun one. The week 13, you play against the Lions at home. I think Dan Campbell has that team looking really good. I'm not going to lie. I think the Saints are going to lose that one. Week 14, you take on Bryce Young or Andy Dalton or whoever's playing quarterback there. Nobody is really good at it out there. So you're going to play Week 14 against Carolina, who you beat in Week 2 on Monday Night Football. Shout out producer Chip for hanging out with us on that night. Week 15, you play against one of the I'm not saying worst, the worst football team in the New York Giants. You should have no problem winning that game. But for some reason, the past few times the Giants and the Saints have played, it's been difficult. I don't know why. Week 16, you travel to Los Angeles. You take on the Rams. They recently signed Carson Wentz, so maybe it's Carson Wentz starting at that point. Week 17, at Tampa Bay. You got to win that one as well. And then Week 18, you finish with the Dirty Birds. So you got 8 games left, currently sitting at 5-4. What say you, Saints fans? Predict the final record for New Orleans. I'm going to go ahead and give you mine, but take advantage of the ad break. Share your thoughts and let me know. All right, so my prediction, I think that the New Orleans Saints are going to finish 11-6. I think that they're going to win the NFC South, and I think they're going to be number 4 in playoff seeding. I don't think they're going to be number 2. I don't think they're going to be number 1, obviously. I mean, the Eagles are really good. They are a really good team. And I know on Twitter I was kind of chirping the Eagles and stirring the pot. That's what I do. That's what I do. I like to have fun. And I do think that there are some very important strengths and weaknesses to address for this team. Because if you make the postseason, I think these strengths could be what propels you to the big game in February. However, these weaknesses may be enough to not even get you in the postseason. Now, I do believe the Saints have a top-tier secondary. Paulson Adebo, Marshon Lattimore, Alontae Taylor. The flight crew is playing out of their minds right now. Paulson Adebo is number 2 in interceptions. Demario Davis is a quality veteran player, and he's not the only one. You got guys like Cameron Jordan. You got Derek Carr, who I understand not a lot of people are happy about, but he's a veteran player who knows how to win. And I know the postseason record doesn't say that, but he hasn't had a lot of postseason opportunities. The Raiders frickin' stink, and they have stunk for a long time. Now, I will say this. The offensive line is steadily improving, and they are pretty healthy. This time last year in Week 10, there was over 9 players on the injury report. This week, there are 2 that did not participate. And I do think the offense is pretty low scoring. There is a massive lack of red zone success, and they struggle to play 4 full quarters on both sides of the ball. And my biggest discrepancy might be the special teams. Blake Grupe is way too inconsistent. He can make field goals. He can kick the ball. He's got a freaking boot, but he can't do it when it matters. He can't do it in the clutch. He has yet to develop the clutch gene. Mickey Loomis and Dennis Allen believe in Blake Grupe. I'm not out on Grupe. I just want to see him be clutch as well. And I want to give credit to DC4. Derek Carr has been playing a lot better football these past few weeks as compared to weeks 1 through 4. And we can look at the numbers. Shout out producer Chip for throwing out this graphic for me. 64.5%, 763 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a record of 2-2 in weeks 1 through 4. I know every single one of us as Saints fans were not happy weeks 1 through 4. Weeks 5 through 9, I think the tone and I think the attitude's a little bit better. And you can see the completion percentage, whole almost 2 points better. The yards almost doubled. You quadrupled your touchdowns. Sure, you still have 2 interceptions, but that's over one more game, and the record is that much better. And I do think if the Saints want to make noise in the postseason, if they want to go on a run, if they want to take down teams that they should not beat, let's call it how it is. The Niners, good freaking team. They ain't going to work. The Eagles, they're a good team. I fear for that as well. But we do have some chat stats that I want to talk about. So the 2023 red zone percentage, it's 45%, but to be exact, it's 45.45%. In the last 3 weeks in the red zone, the Saints have jumped up to 57.14%. Now, I think that the New Orleans Saints red zone mishaps are the biggest killer for this team. The lack of success in the red zone has been what's lost this team games. But I will say this. The defense has been stellar. So, dear offense, dear Pete Carmichael, dear Derek Carr, dear Chris Olave, dear Alvin Kamara, dear Michael Thomas, please play better. Please, please, please play better. I'm not saying you're playing like shit, but you ain't playing great. Because this defense, if you can play better, is an elite defense. In my personal opinion, they're a top 5 unit in the NFL, across the entire NFL. We broke down these defensive rankings yesterday. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but you can see right here. The Saints are good. Defensively, New Orleans is a top-tier team. And I want to show this graphic one more time. I think this picture tells a lot of stories here. In weeks 1 through 9, New Orleans, you can see them on the far right, number 2 in 3-and-out rate at about 45%. The Browns lead it with about 57%, and the Jets are number 3. The Saints are the second best team at forcing 3-and-outs. So you have to play smart. You have to play well. Offensively, you got to be firing on all cylinders. Defensively, keep doing what you're doing, but clean it up. Just clean up the inconsistency, clean up the random big play that they give, and I think if they do that, this defense, being one of the top defenses in the league, could carry this team to a postseason run. But I want you to pick your teams for me, Saints fans. Who do you think will play in Super Bowl 58? I'm going to give you my ideas here in a second. I'm going to give you my prediction, but I want you to let me know. Do you think it's going to be the Saints? Do you think it's going to be like the Niners, the Eagles? Do you think a crazy team like the Cowboys or the Seahawks or something like that's going to represent the NFC? What about the AFC? I mean, there's a lot of good teams. Chiefs, the Bengals, the Bills somehow are always in the mix at the end of the season. The Jets, what if they get Aaron Rodgers back? The Ravens are playing out of their minds. What if the Dolphins aren't actually frauds? What if they're just frauds the first few weeks? So you let me know. Who will play in Super Bowl 58? My personal prediction, please don't hate me. I love the New Orleans Saints. I bleed black and gold every single day. I wake up in the morning. I wipe my ass. It's black and gold. Literally. That's disgusting. I'm sorry. But I will tell you this. I just don't know if this team has it in them this year to go and make a Super Bowl run. Maybe next year. Maybe you get some of these guys a second full year together and there's that much more cohesion and chemistry. Maybe that could be it. But I think this year it's going to be the Eagles versus the Ravens. Might have to take the Ravens to win this one. Sorry, Philly. I know you guys are, pretty bitter about that Super Bowl loss last year, but Ravens are playing good. Lamar Jackson's really good. Wish the Saints drafted him. Anyway, Saints fans, I hope you enjoyed today's content. I hope you enjoyed today's show. If you disagreed with my thoughts, if you agree with my thoughts, just share in the comment section. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up icon. And as always, Saints fans, y'all stay golden. Subscribe so we can beat the Vikings. See you next time.